afternoon all, and thank you for joining us for the webinar on diversity for improving business metrics. I am Ritu from People Matters and will take you through the agenda for today's webinar. I am pleased to share with you about our new initiative, L&D Leadership League Week, which is a part of the L&D Leadership League, our year-long initiative by People Matters. This webinar is the part of Learning Week, which is a continuation of the conversation that took place at L&D Leadership League Annual Conference 2015. The week is dedicated to the learning community and hosts daily newsletters, daily video releases, hangout sessions, tweet chat, and webinars. Just to give you a brief on the session, today's webinar will focus on diversity for improving business metrics. The session will discuss the following questions. Can top leadership play the role of change agent by adopting diversity model? Does this model enhance employee motivation? How does significantly impact business metrics? A little about today's speaker. We have the privilege of having with us SM Gupta, Global Chief People Officer, Aegis Limited. Mr. Gupta sees the people management function in respect of multicultural, multilingual, and socio-economically diverse 60,000 strong workforce of Aegis. He brings with him over 25 years of HR experience across IT, ITES, telecom, retail, oil, and FMCG sectors. In his previous roles, he was associated with organizations like Tata, Reliance, Nerolac Paints, and SR Oil, etc. Our partners for today's webinar for helping us make this initiative possible are Center for Creative Leadership, Pearson TalentLens, SumTotal Systems, a skillsoft company, Great Lakes Institute of Management, Wilson Learning. We have saved time for you to ask questions at the end of the webinar. For those watching the live webinar session, you can submit your questions at any time during the presentation through the Q&A section. We will try to respond as many questions as time allows. We have a full exciting agenda for today's webinar session. So without any further delay, I'm going to hand over the microphone to Mr. Gupta. Over to you, Mr. Gupta.
Thank you, Ritu. Thank you for that nice introduction, and good afternoon, everyone. Very warm welcome to each and everyone on this short webinar, and thanks to all the People Matters team for giving me this opportunity to present before each one of you this journey, which is driven by a lot of passion and pursuit to make a collective dream come true in front of all of you. Personally, I mean, it's a great pleasure for me to share this revolutionary diversity and inclusion practice at Aegis with all of you. And let me tell you that we embarked upon this journey of diversity and inclusion 6 years back in 2009. And from there onwards, we have progressed quite a bit in this journey. And if you look at the objectives of this journey, the objectives remain the same objectives with which we started 6 years back. There is no change in that. And some of the objectives that you can see on slide number 2, which also explain a lot of business case for diversity, are enumerated in this slide number 2. And I would not read each of these bullet points that have been mentioned here. But I can tell you from my experience of 6 years of this initiative of diversity at Aegis that this practice helps drive a lot of innovation and a lot of long-term sustainability of the organization. So with diversity, you are able to cater to a diverse clientele base so as to enhance the customer service, which leads to customer satisfaction and loyalty. And this not only stimulates social, economic, and intellectual and emotional growth of all the stakeholders, but also it has a very, very positive impact on employee motivation and morale. And I'm not going to dwell too much on these objectives. As you can see, in one of the slides later in this presentation, you will see what kind of metrics we have shown here, and you can yourself see what kind of impact the diversity has on some of the business and people metrics, and also other stakeholder metrics. So I'll straight away now come to the next slide, which is on Aegis diversity model. At Aegis, we follow a hexagonal model of diversity, which is quite different and contrary to the historical models of diversity, which are largely around persons with disabilities and gender inclusivity. So we not only follow persons with disabilities and gender inclusivity, but we also include socially and economically disadvantaged people, culturally and linguistically diverse people, mature age people, and indigenous people. Now, if you look at our diversity fact file, you will notice that we have 534 people who are persons with disabilities, which comprises of 1.3% of our global workforce, and we have a strong commitment to take it up to 2% by the end of next year. And likewise, on the other practices in terms of gender inclusivity, we have a very healthy male-female ratio worldwide, which is 65:35. So our policy here is to employ gender population in the ratio of available employable population in each of the 10 countries that we operate in currently. We believe in citizens serving citizens, and therefore employ people of the soil in each of our locations, and that is where you see our arm which takes care of inclusion of indigenous people. Similarly, our presence in smaller towns like Shimoga, Karnal, Ajmer, Dehradun, Srinagar, Chhindwara in India, and Cordoba, Bahia Blanca in Argentina, and many more, gives us the unique opportunity to employ people from culturally and socio-economically diverse as well as disadvantaged backgrounds. On mature age people, we believe in a thesis of will and wisdom, where our will is represented by the young Aegisites in the age group of 20 to 30, who are guided and mentored by the wisdom and experience of the veterans who are in the age group of 45 to 60. So thus you will see that at Aegis, we believe that diversity in the workplace is no longer a nice-to-have phenomenon, but a compelling business necessity in order to remain competitive and deliver sustainable bottom-line results. I would like to talk about some of the diversity enablers, which is in terms of leadership and more, because one of the questions that I was given by People Matters team was how leadership can play a role in ensuring diversity in the organization, and how leadership can play a role in improving metrics through diversity. And we are a clear example of that, basically, because what we do here is that diversity and inclusion are amongst the top strategic agenda of the board of directors of the company. And not only board of directors, the complete Aegis leadership team is fully committed to the framework of diversity and inclusion, and we support all the initiatives embedded within diversity and inclusion framework. Likewise, we have implemented very progressive policies like our policy on human rights, equal employment opportunity policy, prevention of gender harassment policy, policy on affirmative action, and conflict of interest management that truly demonstrate our commitment to rigorously drive diversity and inclusion at workplace. Then we also have a very supportive organization structure which is enabling diversity, whereby we have dedicated diversity champions at not only corporate and country levels, but also at each of the center level, also at each of the business levels. Then another initiative that supports diversity is the sustainability reporting. In fact, one of the key themes of sustainability reporting initiative is diversity and inclusion, which highlights the people practices and community initiatives which are considered to be very significant along with other business critical responsibilities. And of course, enhanced employee communication and awareness is a key to implementation of the framework and acts as a huge enabler, which includes training and sensitization on diversity initiative at the time of induction, conducting various roundtables, affinity groups, policy refresher sessions for people, persons with disabilities, people, communication series, etc., etc., and a whole lot of communication programs linked to that. And one of the most important enabler is, we not only manage the activities, but we also manage the outcomes. I mean, we always say in our business that you can't manage what you can't measure. So therefore, we measure every aspect of diversity, whether it is persons with disabilities, or it is gender inclusivity, or the inclusion of socio-economic disadvantaged groups, or any other groups that we have as a policy in our framework. Similarly, accessibility is a huge initiative at Aegis, where we stay true to our commitment of making the workplace conducive by catering to the special needs of accessibility, by making the workplace more and more convenient, such as placing the wheelchair ramps, elevators with grab handles, widened glass doorways for better wheelchair movements, restrooms which are comfortable for PWDs, auxiliary aids, interpreters, etc., etc. And last but not the least, what I believe is that whatever you've done today is not enough to sustain you for future. Therefore, we periodically assess and refine all the initiatives to improve the coverage and effectiveness. So these were some of the diversity enablers at Aegis, and of course, needless to say that leadership plays a very, very important role. Leadership team is the mentor for all the diversity initiatives at Aegis. Then we move to the next slide number 5, which is on diversity metrics. As I earlier told you that we have a very, very strong measurement and accountability mechanisms, and one of them is the diversity scorecard, which is typically monthly diversity tracker that monitors progress on each facet of diversity, that the six-dimensional model that I explained, and all the commitments that we have made to ourselves, to the external stakeholders. We monitor ourselves on all those commitments on diversity. Likewise, we have diversity goals against each of the facets. So you will see that this year this financial year target is 1.5%, and of course the next financial target is 2% of the global workforce in terms of PWDs. Likewise, male and females, again, mix of the available employable population. So, for example, in India, in IT/ITS sector, if the available employable population is 80-20 as per a DASCOM study, then we would employ both the genders, that is male and female, in 80 and 20 ratio in India, and likewise in each of the geos that we operate in. Then, of course, we have a lot of this, monitoring of these employee engagement initiatives, and including client feedback on some of the diversity initiatives, whereby we monitor all the number of engagement initiatives, the diversity campaigns which are predefined, and they are very much part of the KRAs and the goal sheets of each and every HR managers, and who also act as diversity champions at each of the centers that we operate in, at each of the locations that we are there. And it also includes monitoring of the external assistance to NGOs who are supporting us on this cause, especially with respect to people with special needs. And most importantly, we also capture the client feedback for better breadth of services to have superior business results, which is again outward-looking program. And last but not the least, in diversity metrics, we conduct something known as the diversity DNA scan framework, which is rolled out on an annual basis with an intent to identify the existing diversity mix and understand people perceptions regarding diversity and inclusion initiatives at Aegis. The survey is done using a set of 42 questions based on 7 parameters, and I have the results of 13-14 survey that we internally ran in Aegis, whereby 82% of employees perceive diversity and inclusion as a way of life at Aegis, and 84% persons with disabilities agreed that Aegis promotes diversity and inclusion in a big way and has institutionalized numerous initiatives to sustain the momentum. So likewise, for this fiscal year also, we have already rolled out this survey, and as we speak, we are getting very good results. We are in the process of doing a detailed analysis on that. Now I'll come to the next slide, which talks about some of the initiatives that we took in this current fiscal, that is in the last fiscal that we took on this 2014-15. One is the project second inning, which is an initiative to integrate females back into the ecosystem after a maternity break, and for all those who are looking for opportunities after a career break. It is not just females, it is also males who are sometimes take career break and they want to come back to workplace. So Aegis welcomes such people. We embarked upon a major initiative of employment of, and which is still continuing and which will continue for years to come, is that employment of females in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. You know, we have a huge operation in Saudi Arabia wherein we employ about 3,500 people in our joint venture company, which is contact center company, which is a joint venture between STC, Saudi Telecom Company, and Aegis. And there, for the first time, you know, Aegis set the record by employing 400 female employees in our ecosystem in a very, very highly conservative place like Riyadh, where the employment of women was officially banned. As a matter of fact, Aegis worked with the government to influence the government of the day to allow us to hire female workers in our call centers, for which we had to make provision for special facilities in terms of separate entry for these people, separate exit for these people, the separate female managers for these people, because in Riyadh, culturally, males and females can't interact publicly with each other. So we have created a new benchmark in terms of gender inclusivity, and for which we have been hailed, we've been praised not only by Saudi government but also world over for this kind of initiative in Saudi Arabia, which is such a conservative state. Then we started the Persons with Disability Hiring Initiative in Aegis Malaysia, which is the newest venture of Aegis. We acquired this company last year, and as we speak, we've already started hiring those people, which also showcases our commitment to the local people as well as the Malaysian government as part of the terms of reference. Likewise, another initiative that we took in this year was hiring of people from disadvantaged groups in South Africa. In South Africa, there is an initiative known as BEEE, which is Black Economic Empowerment Program, whereby we have hired people from not only from persons with disability, not only from disabilities background, but also from previously disadvantaged backgrounds through not only external recruitment but also through internal movements of people to those positions. In India, we've partnered with SARTHAK Educational Trust in 10 locations, almost in all locations, and which has helped us in consolidating our hiring for PWDs in your location. As a matter of fact, it's a very interesting model where we make people selection ready first, then we employ them, and thereafter we train them to be able to act as call center agent, and thereafter we look after them. And then we take care of them through our special internal job posting program which is dedicated to these people, apart from the separate engagement programs for these people. Then what is very, very significant to mention is that we have opened up 7 new centers whereby we have created employment opportunities for socially and economically disadvantaged groups in Tier 3 and Tier 4 cities. As I mentioned earlier, in very small places where there are no other employment opportunities available, places like Jamshedpur, Vijayawada, Srinagar. I mean, we are we are the only employer in the city of Srinagar. Chhindwara, again, we are the only employer in Chhindwara. Vijayawada, again, we are one of the very few employers, and other small places like Shimoga in Karnataka, Karnal in Haryana, Ajmer in Rajasthan, Trivandrum, Bhubaneswar, Dehradun, etc., and I can go on naming these places. So these 7 new centers we have started very recently, and that has gone a long way in ensuring a significant indirect economic impact on the communities of these areas, the societies in general, and also the employable population in particular, so that the talent doesn't have to fly to metros and crowd metros basically for searching employment opportunities. And to you that I will definitely show you some numbers, which is this slide on this impact on business metrics and shareholders. So in last few years, as we speak of this initiative, there has been phenomenal positive impact on our business metrics and all the stakeholders. If you look at in terms of our shareholders, average tenure of our top 15 clients is 7 years with 50% increase in share of wallet. I mean, this is by no stretch of imagination a small achievement. And numerous business awards again from esteemed organizations. In terms of employees, our global employee engagement scores have improved from 65% to 78% over last 4 years. And what is very significant is that we have lost 0 mandates. We lost no mandates on account of any of the industrial relations issues, even in countries which are having highly unionized workforce such as Australia and Argentina. And again, there have been career opportunities for 800 plus people from diverse groups or disadvantaged groups through our internal recruitment program, and there has been 17% reduction in labor litigation cases and 24% reduced costs related to attrition and absenteeism. Likewise, net promoter scores have gone up, and most importantly, we have positively impacted the society, that is improving the employment rates in low literacy levels and women empowerment. So these are some of the impact, and this is the next one is our last slide. In fact, the impact that Aegis created in terms of institutionalizing the inclusive practices at workplace resulted into winning of numerous awards and accolades from government, non-government organizations, and important industry bodies. And I mean, may it be on Hewitt's Best Employer Awards twice, may it be Great Place to Work Awards, or any of the diversity awards, right from People Matters to SHRM to Great Place to Work Institute to Helen Keller Award to NASCOM Award. I mean, we have every such award netting about 55 HR and diversity awards put together in last 4 years. Thanks to all the people, these awards are not a recognition of just the HR teams, the efforts of HR teams, but of all the people of Aegis, and are dedicated to all the 42,000 people of happy people of Aegis who make Aegis as a wonderful place to work. So ultimately, our resolve here is to build Aegis organization into an institution that shall be known for its practices on diversity and inclusion. And I'm happy to take questions, if any, and even later, if any questions are left over, you are welcome to write to me. We'll be happy to associate with any of the organizations that you guys are working for for this diversity and inclusion initiative. Thank you very much for your time, and I would like to take up the questions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gupta, for presenting such an insightful session. So as you said, let's move on to most interesting part, the question answer session now. So our first question is from Neeru Monga. She asks, are recruitment policies, career or progression opportunities, initiatives different for or same as all others in the organizations? And how do you motivate them to work normally as other employees? We would really like to hear from you. How do you tackle if you have faced such challenges in your organization?
Okay. So, I mean, before I get into this question, let me tell you there are 3 very important challenges that you have to encounter before starting, working on the persons with disabilities. The first challenge is the mindset. There is always some kind of an unconscious bias that is there in the minds of the people who consider themselves more abled than this so-called disabled people. I hate personally to call them disabled because they have a special ability. They have a very different ability. So that's the first thing. And second thing is there is a challenge on reality of working together. We always say, okay, we will do it. But when we ultimately work with these people, both the disadvantaged groups or the PWDs as well as the others both face this challenge. I mean, they both, in terms of how really they look like in terms of working together. And third, which I already dwelt upon, was the accessibility. Now, coming back to Niru's question, look, we have a equal employment opportunity policies. So therefore, the recruiting policies, the recruiting standards, or career progression standards, or any incentives, they are not different for PWDs. So, well, the way we work is that the policies programs are same for everybody, but the initiatives for persons with disabilities are driven very specially in order that the persons who are who come with that PWD background, they are targeted very specially for those programs. So while there is a initiative for everybody else, at the same time there is a special initiative for those people. But if you ask me, are the recruiting standards different? Are the promoting standards different? No. We have an equal employment opportunity policy. We can't do that irrespective of the ability status, race, color, religion. We follow the same policies. Now, the next part of the question is, how do we motivate them to work normally as other employees? Look, we take care of their special needs. For example, if a person with disability needs a wheelchair, we would provide him or her that equipment. If the person wants a day shift, we would be happy to consider that person in day shift. Likewise, if a person wants a seat near the door or near the toilet, we are happy to do that. And there are special engagement initiatives for these people. We have something known as Saksham Club. So at every location we have the Saksham Club, which is an association of all the persons with disabilities in that particular location which are employed in Aegis. And these clubs, they meet together. All those meetings, all those associations are facilitated by HR and the diversity champions at each of the locations, and we celebrate something known as the World Disability Day. We celebrate such other programs that are necessary for these people in a very special manner. And don't they ever feel that they are differently abled? Our effort is not to make them feel. So that's how they also undergo a lot of sensitization training like other employees. But then you can't eliminate that feeling totally over one day. So it's a journey. So you have to start it somewhere, and then you have to sustain that, and you have to keep on doing that.
Very well said, Mr. Gupta. Thank you so much for answering that question. Our next question is from Samina. So she's saying, you've shown how diversity has helped your organization, the number of awards you've got for this. But how is diversity in workforce helping to improve your employee satisfaction? Would you like to share any specific example on this?
Yeah, if you look at one of the slides that I shown to you in the presentation, that is impact on business metrics and shareholders. One of the pillar of that was employees, where there are clearly four bullets that I mentioned. There is one of them being is that our employee engagement scores have consistently improved over last 4 years, and diversity and inclusion has a huge share in this whole initiative. Of course, there are other initiatives that run parallel, but then this initiative complements all the other initiatives, and because people feel good when they are involved into diversity initiatives, when they are themselves working for the cause of disadvantaged groups, they feel very good, and that's how they get more and more engaged with the organization. Then we have lost no mandate on account of any of the industrial relations issues, even in countries where where the workforce is highly unionized. And of course, career opportunities provided for 800 plus people, and there has been 17% reduction in labor litigation cases. That is all the impact on employees and overall satisfaction.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gupta. So as the time is a constraint, so let's have our last question from Dhanashri. How do you ensure normal and balanced appraisal ratings for employees from the hearing and speech impaired?
Well, now the question is, do we have hearing and speech impaired is a very relative term. So there are people who can partially hear. There are people who can partially speak. So So do we employ people who are completely impaired in terms of speech and hearing? The answer is no. We are not able, because those people cannot be meaningfully employed in our system. And as I earlier also told you, that our appraisal system, all HR systems, including appraisal system, they are common, they are uniform, there is an equal opportunity for everybody, and like the way we conduct the appraisal process for all the normal employees, all the other employees, likewise we conduct the process for our persons with disabilities as well. So there is no such difference between the appraisal process of these people or PWDs or other people.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gupta, for taking this session. So, and with this question and answer session, we are going to wrap up our today's webinar. We once again, we thank our today's webinar partners, Center for Creative Leadership, Pearson TalentLens, SumTotal Systems, a skillsoft company, Great Lakes Institute of Management and Wisdom Learning. Our very special thanks to Mr. Gupta, our speaker for today's session, for his time and invaluable information that he has shared with us today. I would like to thank everybody in the webinar audience for participating in today's presentation. We'll come back to you with many more. That concludes today's webcast. Thank you.
Thanks, Ritu. Bye-bye.